Today's video, we're going to be looking at a police officer, I think living in Connecticut or, somewhere in the Northeast. Basically talking about cost of living and how tough it is to live as just a law-abiding citizen. And this guy is one that makes sure we're all being law-abiding citizens. So let's see what he's talking about. What's it like to live in his shoes? I like to get in people's business. I like to see what people are struggling with, what they're not struggling with. Maybe we can pick up ways or help him or help you guys find out what you can cut, what you can do if you're not in a great situation, which I don't know how bad situations in. Me as police officer, we know police officers don't make that much, but we can definitely make 100K plus working overtime and things like that. So let's see what this guy's talking about.
My name is Anthony Bartolini. I'm a police officer in Waterbury, Connecticut. I'm 29 years old. I've been a police officer about a year. Let's go. But every day is a struggle for me too. If I still have to worry about my next paycheck, where my next meal is coming from.
He's a normal person like anyone else, has to put food on his table, has to provide for his family, goes out there every day to work. Like I said, he's a police officer, so just doing whatever he can to make ends meet.
Good morning, it's Officer Bartolini. I'm patrolling streets because you want to make sure that if you see something, you can do something about it. So I've been looking at houses pretty much every day. I wanted to buy one for a few years. To put 20% down on a house, that's a lot of money. Even I can't working double shifts. In today's economy, even if I got a second job, I wouldn't be able to afford it.
It's crazy how much houses are outside of where we live, because we live in the Midwest, they're not that bad. But out here in areas like, I feel like he lives in Connecticut. He definitely lives in that Northeast. You can hear his accent. It's super expensive. I mean, some places in Massachusetts, the minimum price is $400,000. Let's see how much it costs to get a house out there. All right, so let's go for sale price. I mean, what is police officer? I mean, we're not gonna go over 400,000. Cut down by a lot. 274. They have a houseboat. You can get a houseboat for $300,000. It's actually kind of nice. That'd be kind of nice, live on the water until it gets cold out there. But let's say we go to 600. A lot more options. A lot more options. We now have 822 options. But who can afford a $600,000 house? I mean, that's so expensive. Look at this little place for almost $600,000. This place for $600,000 in Massachusetts. And then, I assume that he's in Connecticut. I don't know. We're gonna go Connecticut. I don't think Connecticut's as bad as Massachusetts, but let's go 400. So you still have some good options. I mean, I don't know how good these areas are. I don't know who's from Connecticut. Are these good areas here? 350 for all this is not bad at all. That's not bad. 259, that's not bad. But for a Waterbury, is that where he's at? For a 2-bedroom, I don't know. But these prices aren't terrible, especially in the Northeast. Not much is under 250. 190, you get that. 300, for a small place, 375. So they're not cheap. And 20% down on that. I mean, 20% down on $300 house. What's that? That's $60,000. So we're talking about putting 60K down on a house, but then we also have to have money left over for our emergency fund. We're also gonna put more money towards closing costs. That could be $10,000. So we're talking $70,000. Like I said, you want to have your emergency fund left over, so maybe that's $30,000 more. So you need to have about $100,000 to buy a $300,000 house. If you want to do it the right way, have that emergency fund, put 20% down, and pay closing costs. It's not cheap out here to buy a house. And a lot of people want to buy houses, and it's really the American dream. Like, you have to buy a house, which I don't think you really do. We have a house, and I love the house. I'm not upset that we bought it, but it's also a house hack. This house is an asset, and a lot of people houses are liabilities because they take all this money out of your pockets. They're super expensive to maintain, but this house actually puts money in our pockets because we're house hacking it. Let's see what else he's talking about.
How was your day?
Good. My wife Sarah and I were waiting for our daughter to get off the bus. We'll eat something real fast, then we'll go look at a couple homes.
Oh, there's a bone in here? There is, yes.
There is a bone, yep. We've been having trouble finding the right home because the bigger the house you want, the more expensive it gets. And we need the room for the family, the dogs. They need a yard to run around in.
And that's where I come in. Like, yes, we have 2 dogs, but I'm not looking for a house for my dogs to have space. When I'm talking about putting $60,000 to $70,000 down for a house, I'm not thinking about my dogs at all. Like, I love my dogs, and don't get me wrong, like, I want the best for them. And if you have dogs, you should give them proper areas to run and play. But if you can't find a good house that's going to fit everyone, then maybe you shouldn't get dogs. There's a lot of things that we do as people, and we want to blame the economy for why things are the way they are, but we put ourselves in these situations willingly, and then we complain and say it's economy.
Right on George Street.
I like the neighborhood. Seems quiet. There she is.
Hello, come on in. We have 3 bedrooms on this level, 2 full baths.
It's a very nice house.
What price point are we looking at?
Probably around 300 to 325.
And I think that's very reasonable. 300. I like 250. Honestly, I like 200, 250. I want to have a house paid off by the time I retire at 50. I got about 21 more years, so I need to put that thing on a 15-year mortgage, or just pay it on 15 years. So
There has been a low supply, but there's still a demand. It's a very competitive market.
So it checked all the boxes, but too bad somebody put an offer in before we got here.
Oh, if it falls through, we'll come back and revisit it.
I love you.
You do get defeated knowing that homes are so expensive after looking today. I hope people in power, they change.
homes are crazy expensive, but it's all about where you live. Like, you don't have to live in these expensive markets. Like I say, in my area, literally our house was $100,000, and that was a few years ago. And you could still find houses around here for 100,000, 150, and in different areas you can find houses for 200, 250. So you don't have to live in these expensive markets. There's so much world out here. There's so many places to live where you can actually afford to live, where you can afford to get that nice yard for your dogs, where you can afford to have a kid or two because you're able to pay less money for housing. Or, what is their financial situation for their car? Do they have a car payment? Do they have high car insurance? Can you shop insurance? Can you lower your car payment? There's a lot of things you can do in order to afford life, and you have to look at the big 3. And I always talk about the big 3: your housing, transportation, and food. And if buying a house is not for you right now, then we don't need to get a house. We can literally rent for a few years, because a lot of times renting is cheaper, but in the long run, you want to buy a house. You don't want to rent for too long, but renting can be cheaper. We don't want to focus all our time and energy on buying a house, because buying a house is not the end all be all. We want to make sure that we're hitting our investment mark, because our investments are going to be there in the future. Our investments are going to help us retire at a decent time. So let me know what you guys think about this video. Just a normal guy living a normal life. It just shows you that the cost of living is high, but I believe that there are some things that he can do to weather the cost of living, to weather the fact that he can't buy a house. You may never be able to buy a house in this area. When I went to California for my job, there were some people there that said they will never be able to buy a house, and I believe it. To get into the market, you're paying $400,000 to $500,000. You're probably never gonna be able to buy a house and actually live a good, solid life. So some of these markets, buying a house is a pipe dream. But if you move to areas like the Midwest, areas in Texas, there are still areas out here where you can buy a house for an affordable price and still live a good life and still kind of get that American dream feel that you're looking for. So hope you guys like this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.